Right now I'm discussing about various scopes available in Servlet. Now, if I'm keeping a block and I declare int I is equals to 10, can I use I outside this block? No, it is local to that block. I cannot use I after this block. Right? So I say that scope of this I is this block scope. Right? Now, earlier when discussing, we have certain attributes, right? We have said require dot set attribute, session dot set attribute, up to a servlet context object dot set attributes. We have set attributes in 3 objects, right? Now tell me, what is the scope of an attribute which is set on request object? How long is it available? I have set an object in request. When is request object created? When request comes from the browser. Before calling service method, request object is created. When is request object destroyed? Once the control comes out of the service method, request object is destroyed. So, if you set an attribute in request, how long does it live? As long as request object is there, right? That means as long as this request is being served by the container, the attribute will be living, right? So we say that scope of an attribute which is set on request object is request scope. As long as the request is served by the container, it's available, right? I can say request or get attribute. So one scope I talked about is request scope, right? Now I'll say session dot set attribute. We earlier said session dot set attribute. Tell me what is the scope of this attribute which is set in session? Session scope. As long as the user session is available on the server, as long as the user does not log out, or as long as the session does not time out, the attribute which is set will be available, right? So we say that the scope of an attribute which is set in session is session scope. What is scope of an attribute set in servlet context object? I can say servlet context object dot set attribute. How long is this attribute available? Yeah. Servlet context object is created when application starts and it is destroyed when application is ending. Undeployed. Deploying, undeployed. Right? As long as servlet context object is available in memory, attributes are also available. So we say that scope of an attribute set in servlet context is application scope. As long as my application is running, that attribute will be there, right? So we understood about 3 scopes in servlets, right? Just keep this in mind. I'll talk about one more scope when talking about the next topic, servlets. Right. And let me ask you some other question. Cookies. Sorry. What is a cookie? Anyone? I think I stopped here, right? I stopped it too. Oh, what is a cookie? Yeah, every cookie will have a name and a variable, correct? No, we have to create, our program has to create cookies, it is not generated automatically. Correct. Okay, I'll tell you, generical, now remember, okay? Cookies are HTTP request headers, response headers. Cookies can be added as part of HTTP response, and browser, any HTTP client will add cookies as part of request headers, right? Cookies are request headers and response headers of HTTP. Every cookie will have a name and a value, and it has a lifetime, maximum time, right? By default, cookies will expire when we close our browser. If you want the cookies to be there even though you close your browser, what you should do? Cookie object dot set max. Correct. Okay, correct. So now you can tell me, session is managed by server, right? Session object is on server side or client side? Server side. How does server detect that a request which is coming is part of which session? How does it detect? J session ID. A cookie called as J session ID. Cookie with name J session ID. Based on J session ID cookie, it will decide, right? So can I say that session is internally using cookies? Server is managing session by use of cookies. A cookie with name J session ID, right? If cookies are disabled by the browser, on browser we can disable cookies. Still I want my session to work. What should I do? Even though cookies are disabled on server, I want my session to work. Yeah, that's the actual word. You can encode your URLs. How do you encode? What is the method? On which object? Response dot encode URL. Response dot encode URL will take a URL, encode it with JSON ID and give it to you. Right? So internally, session is managed by the server by the use of cookies. If cookies are disabled and if you still want your sessions to work, what you have to do is you have to encode your URLs, or we have to rewrite your URLs with session IDs, right? So I'll summarize. You have to encode your URLs or you have to rewrite your URLs. Both people use both terminals. Rewrite URL rewriting or URL encoding, both are same, right? Okay. Now one more thing is, you want your session to work even if cookies are disabled, but I don't want to use URL encoding. There is one more way. See here, in my session demo, what I have done here is response dot encode URL. Encoding URL is one technique. If I don't want to use encode URL, there is another technique also. In the form, what I can do is I can write a hidden form field. Input type is equals to hidden. Type is equals to text will ask for text input. Type is equals to hidden means it will not be shown in the UI, but once I submit, that also will go, right? So what I can do is out.println input type is equals to hidden, value name is equals to, we'll say J session ID. Okay, value is equals to, how do you get the session ID? Session object dot get ID will give the session ID, right? Now see here, whenever this form is displayed, okay, this should be before submit. Whenever this form is displayed, this is a form which we are displaying, right? How many will be displayed? Only a text input for country will be displayed, but this is hidden. It will not be displayed on the UI. But once I submit, a request parameter called as JSession ID with this value will be going as part of your request, right? So server will somehow get the session ID value. It will be able to track the session, right? So there are three techniques basically for session maintenance. One is cookies. Server will use cookies, or another way is encoding URLs, or URL rewriting or URL encoding, or another one is hidden form fields. These are three techniques used to maintain session. Who is managing your session? Server. You are not doing anything. You are just saying request.get session, that's all. You are not doing anything. Server is maintaining sessions based on three techniques. You can use any one of the techniques. Generally, we use either cookies is by default, or you have to use URL encoding, right? So that's about sessions. Now tell me, how do I log out? How do I destroy my session? Once I click on my logout button, what should I do once the request comes? Once I click on logout, the request will come to server. I have to say, how do I destroy the session? By calling which method? Session dot invalidate. Session dot invalidate will invalidate your session, right? And also I told you session dot invalidate will remove the session object from the server. On the browser, the cookie will be still there, right? Then next thing, how do if the user does not log out, if the user generally does not click on a logout link or sign out, the session object will be maintained on server still. Server does not know how long should it maintain the session object. How do you tell to server to invalidate your sessions automatically after some time? Where? In which file? In web.xml. How? What is the tag? Session config and inside the session time, right? So these are all the things about session, listeners. Now the last topic of servlet, filters. Whenever a request comes, the request will come to container. Container, what it will do, based on your URI, it will invoke the corresponding servlet. That's it, right? Before your servlet is executed, I want to run some logic. After your servlet is executed, I want to run some logic, right? Before your servlet is executed, I want to run some logic, and after your servlet is executed, I want to run some logic. Let me take an example. I want to check whoever is accessing servlet X. There is a servlet with URL pattern /x. Let's say I have a rule saying whoever is accessing servlet X should be having a role called as admin. For accessing /y, he should be a CEO, let's say. Right? There will be definitely roles in your company. What is your role? Maybe associate software engineer, associate software engineer, senior software engineer. That like that there will be roles. So for accessing a particular servlet, there is a restriction. /x should be accessed only by admin, a role. That means you have to be logged in before accessing your servlets, right? I'll show you about how to secure your servlets by using security. Later after J splits, security comes. But where do you write such a code? If you want your code inside servlet X to be executed, it should be an admin. Will you write such a code which will check for authentication inside your servlet code? No. Because if there are some 100 servlets in my application, inside every servlet I may want to write same code. Right? Why should I keep same code inside some 10 or 50 servlets? I can extract such security code. Before my servlet code is executed, I can run that, right? So what are you trying to do? You are trying to filter your requests. A request is coming to your application. The request, should it go to servlet X or not, is decided by a filter, right? Whether if the user is having a login role called as admin, servlet X should be invoked. Otherwise, servlet X should not be invoked. Right? So what you want to do is you want to filter your requests, right? Which request should actually go to servlet X and which request should not go to servlet X. So you want to filter your request. For filtering your request, what we can do is we can write our own filter. How to write our own filter? By implementing an interface called as filter. How to write our own servlet? By implementing an interface called as servlet. For writing a filter, implement an interface called as filter. Right? So just see here, I'll give you time for doing it. I'll explain you about filters and you can do it afterwards after I do. The next topic I'm going to deal is filters. Creating a new project 06 filters. Okay, next here I'm writing a new servlet. Servlet 2 servlets are read, servlet A, servlet B, that's all. Right? I'll just write so that I can filter the requests between servlet A and servlet B. Afterwards I'll write the filters. I am writing a new servlet in com.mysys servlet A. Next. Okay. Now I'll just write out.println, that's all. I'll not write much. In servlet A, I'm saying response dot get writer dot println. This is from servlet A. Similarly, I will write one more servlet B. Okay, so here I'll say response get writer dot println inside servlet. That's it. Now what I want to do is I want to write a filter which will filter the requests to servlet A. Now see here I'm writing new. I could directly take filter, but if I take filter directly, lot of configurations will be automatically written, right? First let us learn the concept by writing a Java class. I'll manually do the configuration. Java class, I'll say logging filter. A filter which can do logging. Why I'm calling it as logging filter, you will see. Implements filter from Java X dot servlet. See how many methods are there? 3 methods. Init, destroy, do filter. Init is taking filter config. Is it not similar to servlet interface? Servlet interface also was having init method which was taking servlet config. Similarly filter config. Destroy method same. What is the purpose of servlet? To service your requests. That's why service method was there. What is the purpose of the filter? To filter. That's why do filter. 3 methods are there in filter, right? Okay. Now I'm just interested in this filter. This first parameter is request object. Second parameter is response object, and third parameter is called a filter chain. I'll tell you the importance of it. Chain. Now here I'll say response dot get writer. I'll get a writer, print writer, out is it. Then out dot println, I'll say inside logging filter I'll say before then I'll call chain dot do filter and pass request object and response object. Then I'll write out dot println here again after, right? Okay, earlier we have seen how to create our own proxies. In proxy, what we can do, before calling the original method we will execute some logic. After calling the original method we can execute some logic. Proxy is for pre-processing and post-processing. Similarly, filter also is for pre-processing your request and post-processing. See here, chain.do filter I am calling, right? This will invoke the next servlet. The filter will be filtering some requests, right? Chain.do filter will call the next servlet. Before servlet is executed, this will be executed, and after servlet is executed, this will be executed. So filter is for pre-processing and post-processing. But now, this is a filter I told. This filter should filter what all requests? I should tell. I'll tell that in web.xml. Coming to web.xml, I am going to write, okay, I am deleting this welcome file list right now. I am going to write a filter tag. For configuring servlet, we wrote servlet tag. For configuring filter, we write filter tag. Every filter will have a filter name. I'll say logging filter, any name I can give. Filter class com.mysys.logging filter. So these are the minimum things, and similarly what I'll do is I'll say filter mapping filter name. I'll take the same name. This filter should map to what all requests. Filter mapping, and then I'll say URL pattern. I'll say /a. That means this filter will be filtering any request with this URL pattern, right? If I say /star, any request coming to this application, whether it is /a, /b, anything, /star means everything. This filter will be executed for all servlets, right? Okay. That's all for now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to run this servlet A. Okay. Let's see what will happen. Run as. I'll explain the whole logic once it runs. See, are you seeing inside logging filter before? This is the servlet here, right? What happened? I gave a request to /a. The request went to container. Container says, is there any filter matching this URL pattern? Yes, there is a filter. So container will invoke the filter. Container will invoke the filter, and inside filter which method will be called? Do filter will be called. Here what am I doing? I am just writing this, right? Okay, after that I am saying chain dot do filter. So for one servlet there can be n number of filters. I will write another filter also, right? There can be n number of filters mapping the same request, right? So here in this case there is only one filter, right? Let's assume that there are two filters, filter 1, filter 2. Filter 1 got executed first. Filter 2 also is matching this request. So chain.do filter will call do filter of the next filter, right? But in this case there is only one filter and one servlet. chain or do filter will call servlet service method, right? That is a filter chain. Filters are executed like a chain, right? Then one thing called chain or do filter, let's assume that there are three filters matching the same request like this. Let's assume my servlet's URL pattern is like this /x/y/a. I can give such an URL pattern to my servlet here. Yes. Now I will have a filter which is mapping /star. Filter 1. This is filter 1. URL pattern of filter 1 is /star. So it will match. Yes. So I'll write another filter with /x/star. This is filter 2. URL pattern of filter 2. This filter also is matching this request. Then I'll say /x/y/star. This also is filter 3 matching the same thing, right? Now if I give a request to this filter, this servlet /x/y/a, these all three filters are matching, right? So whenever a request comes for this servlet, what the container will do is it will give a request to, it will call first filter, right? In filter, what do? We call, we'll write some logic and call chain or do filter. Chain or do filter will execute filter 2. Then after that, filter 3. After filter 3, there are no more servlets. Then it will call the servlet, right? So filters are executed like a chain, right? And after filter is executed, after servlet is executed, the control will come back, right? So I give a request like this. First F1 is executed, then F2 is executed, then F3 is executed, then my servlet is executed, right? Once servlet is executed, the control will again come back to F3, then again to F2, then again to F1. So again the control comes back in the same flow. If you want to write some post-processing logic after your service gets executed, if you want to write some post-processing logic, where do you write after colon chain dot, right? Any notes? So if you want to keep some security check, like as I said, my servlet here should be executed only by admin. If the login user is not admin, I don't want my servlet to be invoked. What I should do? Where should I write? Before calling chain or do filter, I will write the code which will check whether the logged user is having a role called as admin. If no, what I will do is I will throw some exception and I will not call chain or do filter. Servlet will not be invoked. That's it. So you can use filters like anything. Any doubt? Okay, now I have a requirement. Whenever my servlet is sending a response, if plain response is sent directly, which is containing some important information like credit card information, etc., hackers will hack the response and get the credit card information. Sometimes when sending response, I don't want to send plain response. I want to encrypt it and send it. Before the response goes back to the client, I want to encrypt the response by using some encryption technologies, encryption algorithms, and then send it. Where will I write such code for encrypting? I have 50 servlets in my application. The response of each and every servlet should be encrypted before the response goes back to the client. Where should I write such encrypting logic? Before or after? I want to encrypt the response. So after this I can write some encrypting logic. Right? Okay. Any other doubts? When is this init method called and what is the use of this init method? Let me just write system.out. SYST control space will write a system trace. Just for debugging, I can write SYST control space, and here also SYST control space. Right? Now I am just stopping the server and I will start. Okay, go to console. See, the one in filters.net will be executed, right? So that means when is the filter initialized? During deployment itself. Servlet will, all the filters will be initialized during the deployment itself. But servlets are initialized during first request by default, or you have to give load on startup tag if you want the server to be initialized during deployment. But by default, filter is initialized when the application is getting deployed, right? So if you want to write any initialization code for your filter, you can do it here, right? Then what is this filter config? You can assume. What is servlet config? Servlet config, by using servlet config, I can access information present in servlet tag. Now guess what is filter config? You can access the information present in filter tag. In filter tag also I can write a param name, param value, just like servlet tag, right? So if you can pass some if parameters to your filter also, and you can access them by using filter config. How? By using config dot, yes, how to get it? Filter init parameters, config dot, same servlet config object dot get in parameter, filter config dot get init parameter. So if you want to write any initialization code, you can do it inside init method. And guess when is the destroy method called by the container? Before the, when is the destroy method for a servlet getting called by the container? When is the destroy method called for servlet? After the service. See, one servlet object is created by the container and same servlet object is kept in memory. If any request comes, method is invoked on same servlet object, only one servlet object. Servlet is not destroyed, but the container may destroy servlet if there are no more requests for a particular servlet for a particular timeout. Let's say for 1 hour, a servlet is not getting any request. Container may decide. It is totally dependent on container. So Tomcat is a container, WebLogic, WebSphere, or some other container which I am going to introduce you later. So Tomcat may look for 1 hour, WebLogic may look for 2 hours. So it is totally dependent. When the destroy method is called, we cannot say, but container will destroy it whenever required. It's totally on the container's hand. Similarly, only one filter object is created, right? Filter also will be destroyed whenever container decides to destroy it. It's not in our hands, right? Yes. So what is the life cycle of a filter? Same. Init, do filter, destroy. These are the life cycle methods. Life cycle methods of a servlet: init, service, destroy. Any other doubts till now? So we understood about filters. Later we will be talking about a framework called as struts2. In struts2 they have used filter a lot, right? Just remember what is the use of filter right now. Filters, what is the purpose of filter? To filter your request. Before a servlet is getting executed, filters can execute. right? Next.